Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on the future of click fraud protection. My name is Amar. I'm responsible for our partner relationships here at PPC Protect. With me today, I have our CMO, Pete Rawlinson, and between us, the two of us will be talking through where we believe best practice click fraud protection sits today, where it's going in the future, and we'll show you how you can get there through a live demo of a next-gen platform as well. Now, I promise this is not a salesy session, but we are excited by what the future of click fraud protection holds, and we want to share that with you guys today. So before we get stuck into the actual presentation, just a quick bit of housekeeping. We're going to try and keep this down to about 20-minute session today, and then it's going to be recorded, obviously, as well. And then what we'll do is obviously share that recording with you guys afterwards as well, so you've got it there. Right, I think that's pretty much it from me. So I'm going to pass over to Pete.
Hey, Amar, thank you very much, and welcome everybody to this webinar. As Amar said, yeah, we're really excited by what's going on in the world of click fraud prevention. We've been in this business now for over 5 years. We've analysed literally billions of clicks, and we're very well aware that there's an increasing sophistication of sources of, let's say, invalid, possibly even nefarious traffic out there. There are targeting organisations, and it's kind of our mission to address that. But when we talk about the future of click fraud prevention, in this session, we're not just going to talk about protecting yourself from the bad guys, although that is a very important part of what this is. But we believe there is some significant opportunities in a very positive way to actually glean more insight as a part of the process of identifying invalid or fraudulent traffic, or just like non-converting traffic. And we're going to share that with you guys today. Now, before we do that, though, let's take a step back and have a look at what we consider to be best practice click fraud prevention from our experience. And of course, there are lots of click fraud prevention providers out there that are aiming to do the same thing, right? Is to reduce invalid and non-converting traffic from your funnel across acquisition networks. We do it a little bit differently from some of the others, but conceptually, what we're trying to do is separate out the good from the bad, effectively. And this slide kind of shows that, right? So you've got all kinds of different sources of traffic hitting in this case, your Google ads. And what a CFP platform would do is to separate that out into good, high converting, known traffic that you want, unambiguously bad traffic that you definitely don't want, and then kind of suspicious traffic that you kind of want to keep an eye on. You don't necessarily want to prevent it from clicking on your ads straight away, but you just want to take a look at it. So best practice, we believe, is there are two parameters that are used to understand the nature of this invalid factor in your traffic stream. The first one is location, right? Understanding the location of known bot farms, known human fraud farms, all those kind of known IP locations are automatically excluded from seeing any of your ads. And that in itself is massively valuable. But the second parameter we believe is even more valuable, which is behavioral analysis, right? Really taking a look at what constitutes human versus non-human behavior, what constitutes low conversion, no converting behaviors to high converting behaviors, and putting that into the mix as well. We believe that is a fundamental part of click fraud prevention going forward. There are other tech providers that rely on kind of manual tuning. It is prone to some false positives, which absolutely nobody wants. We believe automation, machine learning, behavioral analysis is the cornerstone to click fraud prevention. What kind of benefit can you see from doing this? We kind of see that the unambiguous invalid traffic constitutes between 10 and 40% of the traffic stream going into certainly into Google Ads, which has been our foundational platform for a while now. If you correlate that 10 to 40% invalid traffic into ad savings, obviously that can account for quite a lot, right? So there's a lot to be gained just by denying access to this kind of like invalid traffic. I do want to emphasize on the importance of like continuous analysis here. We're very well aware that we're in a leapfrog game between the good guys and some well-motivated bad guys. So we really want to make sure that we are continuously assessing the nature of the traffic, getting better and better at doing this, because those with nefarious intent are getting better and better at doing it too. So that's a step back in terms of where we are today, in terms of a per platform, a per network, click fraud prevention best practice. And what is the benefits of doing this? Well, this slide, we kind of call it the valid flywheel, and it presents a number of kind of value propositions associated with the elimination or certainly minimization of invalid traffic. The first one is obviously you're going to save a decent amount on your ad spend. And we see that across certainly our client base. You can obviously then reinvest that into better performing ads and make the most out of your ad investments across your acquisition channels. But a second really important and tactical benefit is any click that hits your ads and then goes downstream through your funnel gets exponentially more expensive and more distracting the further down that funnel it goes, especially if human interaction is involved and you start to get the sales team involved in looking at some of these opportunities, which are oftentimes not even human. So obviously will never ever convert, massively distracting, massively expensive. The third one is actually more strategic, and that is being able now to optimize your bidding signals for your ad campaigns based on clean data that you know is going to convert. That just is a cyclic process that kind of keeps your ads being as efficient as they possibly can and iterate down on what we believe is the most strategic value in CFP, which is the ability to iterate more closely to your ideal customer profile. As you look at behaviors that tend towards conversion and you eliminate behaviors that do not tend towards conversion, obviously you're going to start to build a better ICP. And that has ramifications across the board, right? Not just marketing, but sales strategies, customer experience, just a general strategic direction of the business. So there's massive opportunity there. And I'm going to go into a bit more detail about what that means a little bit later on. So they're the benefits, right? And that benefit is on a per platform basis. But obviously, we don't just advertise on one particular platform, right? We advertise on many, many different platforms. I think it averages between 4 and 6 platforms that most businesses do advertising on. So going back to this model of this kind of best practice click fraud prevention, what does that look like today across multiple paid acquisition channels? It kind of looks like this. And I've purposely put this as a pretty kind of complex diagram here because I want to illustrate the aspect of siloed here. Click fraud prevention on a per platform basis tends to be disconnected from other platforms. That's just the way it's evolved. So you can realize the benefits we talked about in the valid flywheel for Google and for Facebook and for Twitter and for LinkedIn and for Bing and wherever, which is great. And there's no doubt there's value associated with implementing click fraud prevention on a per platform basis like this. But we believe there's an right? And this is the step we're taking, and hopefully other click fraud prevention providers are going to take as well. And that is to centralize this whole process of click fraud prevention, right? So what if you could now take all of those different behaviors, those different location parameters, centralize them into central analysis capability, and then make that analysis available to provide protection across all of your paid acquisition channels. So for example, if you see fraudulent activity taking place on your Facebook ads, automatically apply any IP that's actually exhibiting that kind of behavior, apply that to all of your acquisition channels straight away. And the same with any other channel. So each behavioral analysis on each platform is helping all of the other platforms to provide protection. If you think about all of those value propositions on a per platform basis, it's actually 1 + 1 greater than 2 value in having that across all of those acquisition channels. It's a force multiplier that we believe is a significant next step in click fraud prevention. By the way, what I'm talking about here this is not conceptual. This is not just theoretical kind of what we'd like to have happen. This is real. This technology exists today, and I'm actually going to pass you back over to my buddy Amar, who's actually going to show you what this looks like from a technology perspective. So let me finish sharing my screen for a while. Amar, I will pass over to you.
Perfect. Great stuff. Thanks, Pete. Okay, so let me share my screen with you guys now and show you this in action. Okay, so as Pete mentioned, there are currently ways out there that you can basically protect your ads on different platforms, but they do involve that siloed approach that we talked about. There's no real connection between the platforms, and this is obviously where we differ now. So let me show you what I mean. So with that siloed approach, you could see your sort of activity on Google Ads. You got all your stats there, your top level results, which is great. Then you move on and you can see that for Facebook. Again, all your stats are there. do the same for Twitter, and so on, basically, across all your various platforms. Now, as Pete said as well, this is great, good progress. We're starting to protect across these multiple platforms. However, they're still disconnected. So, what we want to do is bring that all together. And many of you know now, for the past 5 years, we've been using automation and machine learning to become the best in the business at protecting your Google ads. And we're at that stage now where we can centralize all the other ad platforms and do this all on one dashboard, which you're about to see here. So you can see here we've gone from a one-to-one siloed solution to a one-to-all solution, which is allowing you to see and compare the platform health of all your ad platforms in one place. Of course, you can still look at the individual platforms and view them in the UI as well. But the main thing here now is that they're all working together as one well-oiled machine. So, as Pete mentioned before, if you are seeing sort of invalid activity on one platform, then we can use that to kind of protect across all the other platforms as well, which basically means you're going to be staying one step ahead of the game, which is great. And then another example of how this can be used as well is, let's say you're a client of ours and you're protecting your ads on Google Ads and Facebook. You've never advertised on Twitter, but it's something that you want to do. So this is the clever bit. Because you've been sort of protecting your ads on Google and Facebook, we can apply those learnings and those exclusions to your Twitter ads basically from the get-go. So you're basically going to be protected from those threats before you've technically even started. And this is real proactive protection. You may have also seen that on the bottom of the screen here, we've also included a smart shopping section now. And I know there's probably going to be a lot of questions around that, but there's going to be more to come on that in due time as well. Okay. I also appreciate and know now that there are going to be a lot of technical questions around, the implementation, how the new platform and the dashboard works. But again, this is probably another session in itself, so we are going to address this on a separate session very soon. So please do keep your eyes peeled for that as well. Okay, Pete, I'm going to pass back to you now, mate.
Okay, thanks, Matt. It was great. Let me get back to my screen here. Okay, so let's just recap. So we talked about best practice click-fraud prevention. We talked about the typically siloed kind of scenario that we're experiencing in multi-platform click-fraud prevention today. And then we talked about the ability and the real ability to be able to centralize that. So that's great. But let's just take another look at what we're actually doing here, right? We're analyzing literally billions of clicks on a per business basis, and literally trillions of clicks on a multi-business basis to understand across all of these acquisition networks what constitutes good and bad behavior. In order to do that, in order to provide that layer of protection, what we effectively have to do is look at that cohort of unknown and invalid traffic, or certainly the cohort of unknown traffic, and identify that, convert that effectively into what you know is a good and decent converting traffic, and what you know is an unambiguously bad, invalid, non-converting traffic. Now, if you think about it, in marketing today, marketers, and for that matter, MarTech, really focus on that green area, right? How can we get the best conversions? How can we get the most optimal acquisition channels in place? And that actually comes at a cost of effectively discarding the traffic, which typically either doesn't convert or we don't know if it's ever going to convert. Now, organizations tend to get pretty good return on ad spend from that green area. But our question is, why do you need to have this cohort of unknown traffic, which is effectively discarded, or is effectively kind of invisible to you because the ad networks don't provide that level of data? In understanding what's good and what's bad, and by the way, we believe there's equal value to what's good and what's bad, because then it's at least known. By going through the analysis that we talked about at the top of the presentation, in terms of converting that unknown to known and unknown, you're learning a hell of a lot about a lot of traffic. You're uncovering literally tons of behavioral data about the traffic that's hitting your website, hitting your ads. So what can you do with that? We believe there's massive value in doing that. We've actually given it a name, actually. We call it protective analytics. And this is what we believe is the ultimate kind of step for click fraud prevention, right? The very act of analyzing this traffic data in order to provide significant levels of ad investment protection actually uncovers a massive amount of typically excluded data from your traffic stream that you now have access to that you didn't have before. Now, what can you do with that excluded data? Well, we've talked in the Valid Flywheel about a couple of benefits, right? You can use that excluded data to understand what's human and what's not, and feed that back into your acquisition strategies and make them continually optimal. That's fantastic. But let's think about utility of that data across other disciplines within the organization, right? Let's take, for example, client services, right? Customer support that we know are plagued with non-human traffic hitting things like ticket requests and live chat, etc. Being able to really identify what's real and what's not from that and eliminating that can reduce cost, obviously, but also can impact customer satisfaction levels too on the CSM side. What about payment fraud? So security and IT departments could benefit by understanding if anybody from a known nefarious source are exhibiting invalid or non-human behavior that attempts to complete some kind of payment form on a website can actually be treated differently, maybe going through another level of authentication. All of these things are leading to better identification of what your ideal customer profile is through excluded data, which has been kind of a neglected cohort of data through the process of digital marketing. We see this as an opportunity for click fraud prevention, not only to obviously protect your ad investments, but for marketing to take a real significant driving role in helping other areas of the business, both short-term and strategically, to really drive business through a selection of data that just really hasn't been made available to them. And we're really, really excited by that. So we're going to leave you with this, but I'm just trying to say one thing before we finish. All of this is great, right? It's beneficial, right? All the value of protecting your ads, all the value of excluded data, but it only starts when you learn what is in your traffic, right? And there are many businesses that don't have a problem with traffic to their ads at all, and that's fantastic. That's great. But there also, certainly from our experience, most companies have some form of invalid traffic in their traffic stream. So we urge you, whether it's working with us or another click fraud prevention provider, or just starting yourself with no third-party technology included, to take a look at your traffic stream and see what's in there. Here's a couple of kind of tips of what you could do, right? Download the last 30 days IPs to your ads and match that to known locations of either botnets or fraud farms or wherever. Those IP locations are available publicly. We certainly have a lot of them. Other CFP providers have them too. Just do that match. And if you see any kind of IPs that match, there is some kind of fraudulent activity going in your traffic stream that you could explore further. Another example, look for any sessions less than 0.1 of a second duration hitting your LPO sites from your ads that is repetitive in nature. Typically, most human beings wouldn't do that unless they're especially bored. So that's another indication that there's behavior going on that may not be right for you. And then thirdly, of course, there are traffic analyses you can take part in. We have one, other CFP vendors have them too, but we just urge you to take a look so that you can maximize your ad investments and possibly take advantage of the value of excluded data. So I'm going to wrap up there. I'm going to pass over to Amar just to wrap everything up for you. And thank you for listening. Amar, over to you.
Great stuff. Yep, as Pete said, thanks everyone. Hopefully you've enjoyed the presentation, and there's some, you'll agree with us, there's some exciting new features and sort of developments happening as well. So just to finish, current PPC Protect clients, if we've got any of you guys online, then your dedicated client success manager or account manager will be in touch. So look out for that. And if there's anyone who's never kind of come across PPC Protect before, but you are interested in understanding more about what we talked about today, or the platform in general, or any sort of click fraud protection questions, then please do get in touch. We're happy to help. You can shoot over an email to us or head over to the website, and there's a live chat there as well where you can talk to someone. So yep, that's it from us. Hope you all have a good day. Take care. Thank you.
See you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.